Okay, hi guys, it's Subdivides. We're going to be doing some replay analysis today. It is 16th of October 2018, it is 13:06 PM, and let's jump into it. So, the first game that we will review is sent in by Van. He is a Gold 2 player, and this is 2s. So immediately off of the kickoff, right here, you want to flip towards the ball once, and then flip again once you've reached the ball. The reason for this is now you're using all of the boost that you're collecting, and you'll end up with 0. Whereas if you flip towards the ball first, and then flip again, you have the option of saving some boost that you can then use to recover from the kickoff. In this situation though, so again, you want to flip once and then flip again into the ball once you've reached it. The other reason for that is that by flipping towards the ball, you'll reach the ball further, faster, and by reaching the ball first, you have a larger chance of winning the kickoff. So this hit is a little bit ambitious and very unnecessary. If you had touched this, the hit you would have gotten would not have resulted in you keeping possession of the ball, basically meaning you or your teammate gets another touch on it, or them having to readjust their positioning. If you hit this ball the way you're positioned and with your momentum, the only thing that would have happened is they would have had to stop, wait for you to get out of reach of the ball, and then hit the ball away from you, essentially taking yourself out of the play, and then giving themselves a 2-to-1 advantage over your teammate. So this hit is not a particularly great idea. Teammate saves this ball. Good read on you here that you're going for this. That was a moment where the opponent hit the ball away from himself so far that you had a chance to challenge. Really good on you, identifying that was a mistake by him and punishing him for it. Here, your recovery is going to be a bit weird. I think you tried to half flip here, and kind of failed pretty poorly. You don't need to half flip here. While it is an option, you can simply just turn around and front flip. It would not have really affected your recovery time. Usually you want to half flip only when you really need to turn around very, very quickly, and keep your momentum at the same time, basically when you do not have the time to turn around completely by driving and power sliding. So luckily nothing really bad happens. You take this boost. Once you take this boost, you have to immediately think about what you want to do next. Are you going to hit this ball? If so, then you should be driving towards the ball. Once you see that your teammate is following this though, it is no longer yours to go for. And once you see this opponent coming in here, you should realize that if your teammate gets beaten to this, there is no one covering goal. So you should be going back to goal instead. Instead, what happens is this situation. Now, at high level play, this situation would be a goal 9 out of 10 times. The reason being that you have to cover the entire goal, and you basically have to pick where your opponent is going to shoot before he shoots and pre-jump it. Now, at high level, someone will realize that and will shoot at the part that is the most unlikely for you to jump to. In this case, at your rank, the best way of saving this is indeed by pre-jumping and by covering the goal from the goal line, not out of the goal, which is what you're currently doing. Right now, you're driving towards the shooter, which is the hardest save to make. Yes, it is decreasing the angle, but if you shoot at the right side of the goal, you will not be able to save that in time. So the best course of action here would be to not move that way and instead stay on the goal line. Now, luckily for you, he misses. but so does your teammate, right? The first thing you should be doing is turning back, but it's too late. Now, what could you have done for that situation? What you could have done is, instead of moving towards the ball in that corner, you should have moved back to goal, and then when the hit happened, you would have beaten your opponent to the ball, probably even leading up to a goal opportunity. In 2v2s, it's very important to always remember that someone needs to be covering goal. If you're not covering goal, then your teammate should be. If your teammate's not covering goal, then you should be, right? Think about it like that. A good way to think about it is, what happens if my teammate misses this ball, or gets dunked on, or loses a 50-50? That's the number one thing that should be going through your mind at these ranks, is what happens if my opponent or my teammate makes a mistake, right? If he does, are we gonna get scored on? If so, then you should probably take a more defensive position. So again, kickoff. This is a little bit of a harder kickoff to learn, especially if you're trying to flip towards the ball and then flip again. So again, you want to flip into this and then flip again. Good read on you. Good read on you going for that hit. I don't think this really matters unless you know your teammate's definitely following up, which he wasn't. So I think maybe going for the boost there is the better play. Good hit by you. Good defensive positioning overall. No boost now though, so a little bit greedy to go for this ball. Oh, okay. So in this entire play, I'm going to go through it again. This is a little bit of a sloppy play from you, right? So first, you started off really well. And I'm going to go through it from here on. So once this happens, right, and you get bumped, you got the boost. Good. That's a good start. So that means that you'll be able to make a play. And then from here on, you're basically waiting for Avnovo to take a touch and then responding to that touch, which you do. Right, you see this, it goes up the wall. Here you want to use your boost, and then, okay, so he beats you, right? That happens all the time, no big deal. Your teammate, however, is caught off guard. Now, you're the one covering goal right now, in the strictest sense, or in the broadest use of the word. So what you should be doing here is exactly what you're doing, right? Maybe not with the flip, because that ruined your recovery, but just hitting this ball the way you did is fine. I'd like you to keep it close to you, but you know, that may be a little bit too much for you right now. This is a fine answer though. So what happens now? First of all, both of you are in the same spot. One of you needs to realize that that's a bad thing and go back to goal. Traviscus realizes and he goes back to goal. Good. So one of you is now currently covering goal. What does that mean? That means that it's your job to attack the ball. Great. So that's what you do. Now this is where Traviscus betrays the role, or betrays his role and makes a mistake in rotation that ends up with him taking the boost and passing the ball straight back to Avnovo. Look at this again. We can see Avnovo is turned around, and once he is turned around, you should realize that this ball is no longer yours. It is Avnovo's now, because Traviscus is going to fly towards the wall, and Avnovo has all the time in the world to respond to this. So you driving forward with only 3 boost here is very, very greedy and very sloppy, right? So he hits this ball. This is still not an issue until that touch, at which point it becomes an issue, right? So you should have driven towards this ball and tried and hit it, but this is fine, right? Now, Traviscus and Avnovo 50-50, and all of a sudden, Traviscus is now attacking the ball. So going back to what we learned earlier, if your teammate's not covering goal, then you should be, and you flip towards the ball, trying to attack it, meaning you're now no longer covering goal, and both you and your teammate are not covering goal. So what happens? You get scored on, right? And this is just very simple. If you're both not covering goal, one single shot can lead into a goal. So what should you have done in that play? Instead of flipping or going towards the ball twice when you were clearly not going to get to it, or neither was your teammate, you should have stayed closer to the goal and gotten yourself into a better position to defend. Good half flip on you there. I like the idea here. I'm just going to go back real quick. I don't know if you planned on not going for the kickoff, both of you, but when you took this touch, right, so this touch itself isn't bad. The problem is that you've just wasted 80 boost to get a touch that isn't dangerous. So he's going to hit that away from you, and you get into Traviscus's way here. So you've just spent 80 boost on this. That is just easily cleared away. You never want to spend all of your boost. If you're going to spend all of your boost, at least make it a hit that is significant, that is so dangerous that they have to expend a large amount of boost as well to save it, or they have to respond to it immediately, etc, etc. But think of it like this: you could have made the touch that you did if you had made it a little bit more towards their goal, or if you had chosen just not to aerial up for it. You would have had a lot more boost, and you would have had the option to reposition yourself if needed. Whereas now you're taking away that option, and you've used all of your boost. Not only that, but you also got in the way of your teammate as you're rotating out, which is not completely on you, but it is something that is bad and that you should have realized. This is also usually not okay. I think at this rank it's a little bit less of an issue, but you almost never want to go all the way back when your teammate has the ball on their half. If you don't get the mid boost, turn and pick up boost pads instead. That will allow you to stay closer to the ball and make a decision on whether you should go for it or not. When you then rotate back to goal, if you decide that you cannot go for the ball, or you are not confident in going for the ball, you can then pick up a 100 boost pad on your way back. But going this far back means that now Avnovo has all the control of the ball in the world, and here you get beaten to the ball again. Good save by Traviscus here. That was very close to not being saved, and that's a very good shot by Traviscus. He did a really good job there in keeping this game sort of close. A little bit of a camera shake there. Good job. Always got to keep the camera accurate. Nice boost steal. This should be Traviscus. Instead of flipping all the way back here, you should try and take a position where a pass is an option. If you stay right here, and I feel like this is just you being a little bit too eager to move to go fast, but if you stayed here, you could have received this pass and even potentially scored a goal off of it. Good hit by Traviscus. You should be at least be thinking about going for that, or positioning yourself to. Good half flip again. Realize that you're now cutting into rotation. Traviscus has seen both of them commit, so he will be going for this. Instead, you go for it and ruin his offense. Even if he had a really good idea for offense there, it was now ruined by you challenging the ball. So be careful about that. Don't just challenge the ball because you can. Try and think about whether or not it is a smart idea for you to. So in this case, you disregarded that your teammate might have been getting a hit, and you were a little bit too eager to hit the ball, resulting in a failed offense, and it was promptly then cleared away. Like, you did the same thing here. You don't have a great angle on this ball, and Traviscus was already going for it. If he had hit it, it would have gone forward. If you hit it, it just stays in the same place. And now again, the ball was cleared away. So Travascus finally gets a hit, and now you're out of boost, right? So even if there was a play there, it's hard for you to make it. And now you're just driving, around, going backwards, you're not really on the ball. So notice how all of the plays in this game, or in the last 30 seconds, have been made by Travascus, and you have literally been sabotaging them, almost playing for your opponent's team. And that's because you're not paying attention to where he is and what he's trying to do. So he gets that touch. It's a decent attempt at a pass. When you try to pass like that, you want to be hitting a bit more sharply, a little bit more towards the net, and you definitely want to put a flip into that. The reason being, if you hit it too softly, it falls right in front of Avanovo, and he can just dribble it out. And it's very hard for him, or it's very hard for you to really make a significant play then. If you hit it harder, it will usually fall in front of goal, where Travascus now has a chance. Okay, so that's a decent challenge. Travascus sadly went a little bit too far into goal because he flew instead of just flipping. If you look at this, look at it again. If you pay attention to Travascus here, he jumps and then half flips, but he flies really, really high, and as such he ends up not ending up in a good position. So here, you don't want to actually challenge. I think it's good that you're driving towards him, but if you've been a little bit more patient and a little less, I gotta go fast, you would have had a much better challenge here, and you could have actually hit the ball, and now it results in a goal, right? So if you had taken a little bit more time, this would have been a much better hit. Sorry, I'm just going to turn down some of the sound. It's a little bit too high for my tastes, and I can see on the preview that it's going a little bit too loud. Alright, so second kickoff. Travascus again does not go for the ball. That's bad. He should be kicking off and leaving you in a really bad position by not doing that. Boost grab is fine. Good hit by Travascus. Even better hit by Avanovo. And you basically just passed and took yourself out of the play. What you should have done there is you should have gone up way higher. Think of it like this. If you want to hit the ball down, you need to hit the ball from the top side. If you want to hit it up, you need to hit it from the bottom side. And here, you're hitting the ball on the bottom side, so it's going to go up real high. Had you hit the ball down, so from the top, it might have gone in. I don't think this was scoreable. I think if you waited for it to drop, you might have had a better chance. And also, I think you should have picked up that mid boost instead. But not a very big deal. That is definitely your team's ball. Good job by Travascus. Again, you're not ready for that. You should be ready for that pass. You're not really positioning yourself to take advantage of Travascus's plays. He's making very good plays right now, trying to pass to you, or at least setting up chances for you to score, and you're almost never there to make use of them. Here again, you're just a little bit too eager to go fast and to hit the ball, right? No one is going for this. You're the only one that is challenging this ball, or that is contesting this ball, this hit. You're still charging towards it though, and what ends up happening is you just help your teammate or help your opponents out, and then you even aerial after it to try and fix the situation. Third time you've hit the ball now, and you've done nothing. You've spent 75 boost doing absolutely nothing, and the only thing that's happened is the ball has been cleared away. And the reason why you do this, or why this happened, is because you didn't take the time here. If we go back, if you had waited here, had circled all the way to the wall, the side wall there, and then hit the ball from there, you would have had a much better angle at the ball, and instead you would have not resulted in not getting into this situation at all. So when you're trying to hit the ball and you have time, always try and get the best angle. The angle at which you shoot on target, or at which you hit the ball, is very, very important, and I'll show you that in a little bit. I'm going to try and show you that in a little bit, but it's very important to realize how approaching the ball kind of dictates the types of hits you can go for that work and that do not work. So again, this touch doesn't do anything, he just waits and gets exactly this touch, right? And that's just what I mean. You've just spent 75 boost doing nothing, and the only thing that's happened is it's now in your half. Good shot there. Travascus has the ball. You're in goal a little bit too long. You should be out of goal here. What you're doing right now is very slow. You're giving them a lot of space to do whatever they want. Travascus again kind of cuts in rotation, and very good hit by your opponents. This is yours. Good turn. Good control as well. You see that there's no one there, so going for a pass is fairly silly there. And then once you see that there's no one there, you want to be staying behind the ball instead. Now you're taking a 50. I'd say this is not a great 50 for you or them, but a 50-50 nonetheless. Like this just really depends on where they are and how much boost they have. But I think I still think you should stay behind the ball more when you're doing that dribble. And then when Travascus takes this touch, again, you should take your time to assess the situation a little bit more. Again, you go a little bit too, I need to go fast, and you make the worst choice possible. So what happens here is Asterisk is going to hit the ball before you almost 99 out of 100 times, right? By you moving towards this ball and jumping and flipping into it, you've basically given him free possession. Not only that, you also flip away all the way to the corner boost, even though you see Travascus there. So you've given them loads of space and time to do what they want without really thinking about it. Travascus gets a really good hit here, but he has to leave unfortunately, and then turns around. Again, he's putting on really good pressure, but you're again not ready to make a play with him. You're just a little bit unaware of what's going on, or how you need to deal with the situation at hand. And yeah, like it just results in a goal. So the biggest thing in this game that you did is you don't assess the situations, or you don't assess them properly. What happens a lot is you don't really pay attention to where your opponents are or where your teammate is, and you just kind of do what you think is right even when it's not. So examples of that are the first goal where you should have gone back to net, and the second goal where both of you and your teammate suddenly stopped covering net. That should never happen in a game ever, unless you are 100% certain that you not covering net will result in a goal. In this case though, it didn't, and that's partly why you lost this game. Another reason for why you lost this game is that not only did you go for did you not assess the situation correctly. A lot of times you would rush to hit a ball even when it wasn't necessary, and as a result you would get a really bad touch, and then you'd flail and try to correct the situation, even though it wasn't necessarily a bad situation. So instead of rushing for that hit, try and take your time a little bit more when you have it. If no one's there to hit the ball as you're going for it, why would you rush to hit it? You don't need to go fast every single time. The only thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that the touch that you are getting is good, and that has a goal. Hitting the ball for the sake of it, or for the sake of hitting it, or because you're panicking, is 9 out of 10 times not going to be helping you out at all. Usually it's going to do the opposite. It's going to make you get into a better or in a worse position than you already were. So keep those two things in mind. I think other than that, there are some issues where you go back a little bit too much, but that's not really the biggest problem right now. The biggest problem right now is just you need to stop panicking and or getting impatient. You need to calmly look at what's going on, what you need to do, and then do that, and take your time when you have it. If you don't, you'll end up in really bad situations that you didn't need to end up in. Yeah, so keep that in mind, and I hope that that will help you get better as you've progressed through the ranks. Alright, so let me find the other replays and their names real fast. So the other replays are called, they're a little bit older. Alright, we're gonna go with Snappa. Let me quickly change his. Right. Okay, so so this is again 2v2. It is Snappa and Theunseenhammer versus Bald Individual and Doom Dizzle. Just one sec. Okay, let's go. I like the initial kickoff strategy. Going for boost when you don't know how your teammate is on kickoffs can be pretty safe. Is usually pretty safe. I advise not flipping into the ball, because in the situation that your teammate isn't great at kickoffs, you might want to stay a little bit closer to the corner so you can rotate back to goal if you need to. In this case, doesn't end up mattering, and you end up getting a free touch. This free touch though, I'm not a huge fan. You have a lot of time here. You don't need to hit it towards them. You can just safely sit, keep it close to you, and then make a play out of it. Now it just gets passed back to your teammate, who then has to do the same thing. And now you're at risk of getting scored on if someone reads this properly. So you start boosting here, lots of boost wasted, and now you're going for a demo, which I think is a creative play, but there's still another opponent that can come in as he does, and not to mention that even if you bump him there, your pass wasn't going to be scary to them. So instead of going for that particular hit, you want to try and, well, first of all, not get in a position where you have to go for the ball. Try and never put yourself in a position where you have to go for the ball. Always try and then once you've done that, once you get into a position, you want to be in a position where hitting the ball is the best outcome, but not where you have to hit it. So don't put yourself in that position of having to go for a demo. Instead, try and wait to see what they do and then play off of that. That takes one of them out of the play, and then the second one has to hit the ball. You're a little far back now, and you've just killed all your momentum. If he goes for a pass here, which he doesn't, but he could have, you would have been in a really bad situation. Good shot by your teammate there. Honestly, in this play, most of it was his doing, as is kind of evident from the scoreline. Like, you haven't really achieved anything in this play. Not only that, but once you were here, you turned off ball cam and didn't even look at what your teammate was doing, so you have no idea what's going on. Had they taken a shot, or like put you in a situation where you had to be back, you wouldn't know until it might have been too late. So definitely do not turn off ball cam there. Good hit by your teammate though to score that first goal. That's a fine kickoff. Good back pass by you. Almost scored it. Good hit. I like the enthusiasm for that play. Good hit by your teammate again. Note again how, while do you think you achieved something here? I think this play came about mostly by your teammate being in the right position. Although keeping possession and rolling the ball up the wall was a much better decision than any other ones that you could have made. Good 50. You need to save that. That is easier for you to save than for him. Again, here. You flick your camera and you see him in the other corner. Another one is you see him driving towards goal, but you don't know, what you don't know is that he has no boost, right? Think of it like this. He's trying. You can even see it in the way he positions. He's just 50-50 there. He's not using any boost, and then here below you, that happens. So we know from this he has 0 boost. If he had gone to net and stayed at the back post like he should have, then this would not have ended up in a goal. But he hasn't, and you can tell this. So you need to go for this, and you don't, which means you get scored on. Not necessarily your fault. What you could have done differently in this situation is, once this happened, you should have, instead of going towards the ball, you should have immediately returned to goal, and that way you would have had a shot. So instead of kind of right here, I'll pause right here. So right here, instead of moving towards the ball, which you know Doom Dizzle is going to hit, you can go back to goal here, and you'd be in a much better position to save this. Not only that, but you would have also realized that your teammate isn't in goal to save this, and as a result you wouldn't have gotten scored on, keeping your 2-goal lead instead of a 1-goal lead. I like the challenge. Good job on beating one of them. This is just you going a little bit too fast though. Once you beat him, realize that you are now in a 1v1 situation. If you are 1v1ing someone and you do this, you'll get scored on. The only reason why you do this is because you know you have a teammate. That's not the right way to approach this situation. In this situation, what you want to do is you want to put bald individual in a spot where he either has to clear the ball towards your teammate, not clear the ball at all and just get scored on, or put your teammate in a position where he can go for the ball without bald individual being able to go for it. Those are pretty much the 3 options that you have. If you hit this ball now, you will not do that. You have to accept that at this rank, at Champ 1, people are good enough to make saves. And you doing that, or even you getting a really high hit on that, will probably not result in a goal. So that was just a little bit too impatient by you, even though you didn't have to be. That's a decent 50-50. I think right here, there's no real reason for you to wait. You should have been beating him to that ball, and instead of putting the ball to the side, you could have putting the ball forward instead. It's a good attempt. Your teammate should be there. He's not though, that's fine. So a little bit too easy of a read on that play. So what I mean with that, sorry, I was just kind of reading about if there's a bigger mistake there. The biggest problem there was that once you hit this past him, and I don't really like this play. Once you have control of the ball here, there's all sorts of things you can do, but putting it up like that or like down like that is very easily read, and also it coincides with where your opponent is going to be naturally. So he's waiting for you to pop that out so that your teammate can shoot it. He doesn't expect you to try and just get it past him so that nothing happens, because even if you get it past him there, your teammate has to be super far up and in a super risky position to get the goal. Since he's not willing to do that, since he shouldn't be willing to do that, it's very unlikely that you're going to get a goal if you hit it past your opponent. So the only way you can really score there, is by hitting the ball out from the wall, and he is going to be there to stop you from doing that. So in the end, nothing happens. This is a decent hit by V Glenny. Good job respecting the flick there. I don't like you flipping back here though. Now you're in a defensive position where you could have definitely challenged this hit on the wall, and then you could have challenged there as well. So you hesitated a lot in that play, which made it very hard for you to, and again here, you could have definitely been in front of that, and now you're in your teammate's way. And the reason why you do this is because you hesitated to take the hit. Speed is a very important part of playing at Champ 1. If you want to compete with Champ 1s, or if you want to beat them, you just have to be faster than them. If you're faster than your opponents and you get to the ball before them, 9 out of 10 times, you will win that challenge. Not only that, but it is also very easy to beat people at this level in terms of speed. That's a good decision by you there. Don't really like that touch. You should have definitely, if you had touched that, or if you were going to touch that to begin with, jump off right here and then front flip instead of side flip. Now you've touched the ball towards them and leaving your teammate in a 1v2-ish situation. That's exactly what I meant when I said it's very hard. It's very hard for your teammate to go for this without being very risky. Plays like that are going to be very, very risky, almost inherently. And you hitting the ball way after it only puts you in a worse position. Not only that, you are put into a position where if you miss, you get scored on, and you panic or go up too quickly and you get scored on. Good kickoff by you. Again, I'm not much of a fan of turning off ball cam, and your positioning was not very good for getting to that ball. Good hit. If you'd put that on target, it would have been a goal. And this is a really good example of why angle is super important when you're shooting. This angle is pretty easy. You just have to hit the ball with your left part of the left corner part of your nose, and this is a goal 9 out of 10 times. Instead, you miss, and now your teammate's left trying to pick up your scraps. You don't get the boost, so now you have to go all the way back, and you give them a lot of space. And then even with the aerial, because you touch it in a way that they get it back. You hesitate again, meaning no goal for you. Well, I don't think that would have been a goal if you hadn't hesitated. If you had read that play a little bit better, it would definitely have not been one. Flipping towards that is a little greedy, and now again you're in a very defensive position. You missed the boost again, and now you're out of boost and you have to go all the way back. Notice how there's 3 major issues in your play. I'd even say 4. One of them is kind of not related to the game, is that you turn off ball cam a little bit too much for my liking. I pretty much never turn off ball cam in game unless I'm dribbling. Anywhere else, it's just to make sure I'm aligned with the boost that I'm trying to pick up, and otherwise I'm on ball cam. The other major mistakes that you're making are as follows. You have really bad boost management. You almost do not pick up any pads to make a play, and if you're not at 100 boost, you will abandon the play to go get boost. That's a really big mistake. That is probably the largest mistake you're making right now. The second one is that you're hesitating a lot. Even when you can take a 50-50, you don't, because you're afraid you might lose it, or I don't know what it is, but you're not taking challenges when you should. The third one is your speed. Your speed at this level is simply very low. You are not reading the play in time to know where you should be, and because of that, you end up having to take a 50-50 when you could have cleanly beaten your opponent and just got the free touch. The fourth one, which is not as obvious but is very big still, is you're hitting the ball away for no reason. And often, even though you don't have to hit the ball and you can keep it close, you'll hit it away to them, and that's a big thing. When you hit the ball away, you give them a chance to respond. If their touch is better than yours, you've lost out in the end. Don't play the game as too ping-pongy. Either really precisely hit the ball so that it lands in front of you or your teammate again, and you can get a follow-up touch, or keep it close to you so that they can get a touch. The reason why at high MMRs there is a lot of there is a lot of challenging and not a lot of dribbling is because people do not give space to dribble. Yes, it will have, like when someone's already dribbling and there's no challenging, what we do is we'll make them do something so that our teammate has an easier time challenging. But at this rank, it is very, very good to just dribble the ball and flick early. So good 50 there by your teammate. He doesn't really read the play though, so now you're left defending. It's a really good 50-50 by your opponent. He really read you there. Really good job by him. This is your ball to go for. You're retreating back to goal. Again, hesitating. You're only barely beating him out, even when you have a really good opportunity to beat him out completely. Good bump, but you're out of boost now, and now you're going to go back to 100 boost pad. Oh, no, you actually turned. Good job on that. Here again, you're letting your boost situation dictate the way you should be playing, which is bad. Instead, you should try and go for the ball or go back. Don't go up, grab boost, and then go back. Go back so that you can reposition with time, with the time you gained, or go for the ball. Don't do something in between. By doing that, basically what you do is you're playing off him not hitting the ball, which I would do at lower ranks, but not at the rank that you're currently at. It's a little greedy, let's put it like that. I tend to only play off of people's hits when, with my current positioning, I can't do anything else. If I have the option to go back, or if I have the option to go for the ball, I'll choose either one and then do that. So overtime. Good challenge by you. It's very hard to read what he was going to do. Yeah. So again, this is what I mean. In this case, it did work out because yes, he did make a mistake, but it's the same thing over and over again. So had he touched this ball the way he wanted to, which is to just boom it, it would have gone over the top of you, and now you would have been in a defensive position. You had to go back to goal, you had to recover, instead of being full boost. So you would have had to use that boost defensively instead of offensively. Luckily, it works out for you, so this ends up being a good thing. But at a higher level, that would not happen. Here, you've turned off ball cam, you have no idea what's going on. And had you been there, that would have been a goal. Right? Had you picked up pads and waited, you would have scored a goal right there, and this game would have been over. Not to mention, the first goal was your mistake, right? So already we can tell that this game wouldn't even come this far had you not made the mistakes that you did. Good demo by you there. I really don't like this shot. Once you see that he misses, that Doomdizzle misses, you have so much time here. You're in a 1v2 situation. Take your time, take a first touch, make board individual stop, and once he has lost his momentum, then you do something, right? With momentum, it is a lot easier to save a shot. You need a much better shot to save or to score this with board individual in goal. If he has momentum. If he doesn't have momentum, you can do a lot more things. So take one touch, keep the ball close to you, or even hit it onto the backboard. Do not try attempt and shoot this without making him stop first, because it's so unlikely that this goes in. Again, just slightly greedy, right? He will save this. He will 100% save this. By you going for this, it just means that it's going to be very hard, or he's going to get a free touch. You don't know what your teammate's doing. He could have put this forward a lot more. Good touch by your teammate there. Again, shooting. Well, I think in this particular case, shooting is a little bit more okay. Oh, that's not good. Well, I think shooting there is a little bit more okay. I'd still prefer a more like take one touch and then do something. Note how board individual pre-jumped. Had you taken a touch to pop it up for you and then taken a shot on net, you would have scored right there. So that's in 20 seconds, you've had 2 chances to end the game right there, and you've failed both of them because you were greedy. You were too greedy to take a shot instead of play it patiently, keep the ball close to you, and take a shot when a chance, or basically create an opportunity for you to score an uncontestable goal. And because you've done that twice now, you might end up losing, right? Every time you miss a chance at a goal, or you make a mistake that leads to a goal, you've essentially just made this game harder for you to win. What you want to do and how you rank up is by making less mistakes that lead to goals, and to make sure that every chance you get ends up as a goal. If you watch high level players play, Squishy Muffins, Torment, you name it, you'll note that all of these players will say at certain points, like, this should be a goal, or might be able to get a shot. That kind of stuff is why they are so high level. It's because not only are they saving every shot, but they are also very, very good at making use of every opportunity they get. So 0 boost. Good job, you got both of them. Again, you hit the ball away from you here. You don't need to. Why are you doing that? Like, what reason is there for you to hit the ball forward? Instead, you could have waited and just chilled. And then once they come to you, you 50-50 with them, you win the 50-50, and now all of a sudden, you're in a position where you actually can make something happen because you're in a 1v2 again. A 1v2 is harder to win than or a 1v2 is really, really hard to win if it's executed properly. 11 boost, you really should be picking up pads there and trying to make a play. Look how far away from the play you are now, and you even misread this, right? Again, your boost usage is so, or your boost management is so poor that it's making everything you do worse, in the sense that you've had multiple opportunities to score a goal now and failed because of your boost management and your boost usage. Not only that, you've also wasted a fair amount of opportunities just on patience and hitting the ball away when you didn't need to. And now, because you turned off ball cam, another thing you suffer with, to get boost, because you didn't have any, you've lost the game. So, not only did you make this game go into OT, you also ended up missing 2 chances in overtime to win the game. And because of the mistakes that I've already said you make a lot, you've now lost the game. Right, so these mistakes, it might not seem like these mistakes are very, very big, but they just cost you the game. Right, multiple times. You have had multiple chances to not let it cost you the game, and it did. So these are some very serious issues in your play right now that are literally costing you games, which I think is probably not the way you want it to be, honestly. The best way, the best things you should do is stop being so heavily reliant on big boosts. Grab the pads. I think I'm still, me personally, I'm still fairly high up on the 100 boost pads, but I definitely pick up more pads than I do big boosts. With you, I'm not so sure. I think you picked up a lot of 100 boosts, and you're very reliant on them. I can tell that your positioning is almost entirely based on where the 100 boost pads are. You will rotate out to get boost instead of sticking around and picking up pads, and that's not okay. If you want to get to Champ 2, that is the opposite of how you should be doing it. So pay attention to that, and pay attention to that. Really do not mess that up, right? Being in the right spot becomes more and more important as you come up through the champion ranks. So do not underestimate how important it is to stay in the play. I think that's the best advice that I can give you right now. Anyways, I will be right back. Give me 2 seconds, and then we'll go on to the final replay analysis. Okay, let's get this going. So the last replay has been sent in by the Theunseenhammer, who is also a Champ 1 level player. Is it the Theunseenhammer? Yeah, I'm correct. He is, let's see, 2v2 ranked champ. Okay. Sorry about that. So the Theunseenhammer, he is playing Every Miss I Say Yeet versus Get Cancer. A very toxic name. Anyways, let's jump right in. So this seems to be a tournament match. Again, you want to flip towards the ball on kickoff and then flip into it again. Do not boost towards it. By boosting towards it, you put yourself in a really bad position where it's really easy to not be able to recover, especially in those vertical kickoffs. It's very hard to once you have once you get to the ball and you've done the second flip, it's very hard to recover and get boost to be ready for the next play. Good flick by your teammate. Brewer has been very vigilant in taking your teammate out of the play. That should have been a goal, but again, note how, so what I said about getting boost. If you had boost here, if you had more than 6 boost here, you would have been able to score this goal if you had gotten a quick touch. But you didn't, because you didn't have any boost. Good play there by your opponent. Getting the ball into that. I think that's a little bit greedy. And I think that jump is very unnecessary. I don't think there's a... Ooh. Okay, so let's go back to that play. Going for the boost here, I think is fine. Going for this aerial, I think is worse. I think that aerial is super hard to pull off, where you can just drive and then catch the ball and flick. Instead, you not only you aerial, so you waste a lot of boost, you do not pick up any new boost, and then you leave goal open. This goes back to my first replay analysis of Van, but if your teammate's not keeping or protecting goal, you should be protecting goal. If you're not protecting goal, then your teammate should be. If you're both not, then you're going to get scored on, which is exactly what happens here. You get really close to making a save, but you just do not have the boost and the positioning to really make that save easy on you. So even if you had saved this, it would probably be a bare save, and you could already tell from this, look how he was positioned. He was already waiting for you to make that mistake, and then get a pounce. Alright, let's see what happens. Again, you want to flip into this. I think the idea to go for that is good. I think it's a little bit greedy. It's very hard to score off of that with only 12 boost. And I imagine you guys are in comms, so you know that whether or not he's there. Here, instead of keeping the ball close to you, note how you can tell they're both gonna get flung past the ball, and you still hit it towards them. Right, you hit the ball back to where they're gonna be, instead of taking one touch to maintain possession and then hitting the ball again, potentially taking one of them out. You're playing a lot of 2v2s, or you don't want to be playing 2v2 scenarios. You want to be playing 1v2s or even 2v1. You want to play 2v1s or even 1v1 situations. Think of high-level 2s as such. You're trying to create situations in where you can score, because if there's 2 people in net, think of it like, or I should explain this differently. So if we're thinking about 3v3, right? The reason why a lot of goals do not happen is because there's always multiple people on defense. The same goes for 2v2. If both people are on defense, it's very hard to score. This becomes more evident as you climb the ranks. Once you realize that, you should also realize, well, okay, how do we take one person out of defense then? And it's situations like this, where instead of hitting the ball away from you mindlessly, you should be taking a touch, keeping the ball close to you, and then making a play, and take at least one player out. Even if you don't score off that immediately, their goalkeeper now has to clear the ball, which gives your teammate a chance to respond to that again. And because you kept the ball close, you should also still be close to the play, so you can get his follow-up touch, and then he can get the follow-up touch you get. Essentially, if you keep beating out one player and then getting a clear by the second player, you're going to get to a point where one of you gets a touch that they can't defend, or they make a mistake, or whatever, which results in a goal. The idea being that you want to play this kind of pressure game. The higher up you get, the more you want to rely on long, drawn-out pressure and passing and all that to create situations where it is very hard for your opponents to respond, essentially. So when you get on the wall here, you go a little bit too high. You could have hit this up and then aerialed off of the wall, and you wouldn't be in this situation where you had to pre-jump. I also really don't like jumping for this. I'd much rather you just stay on the ground and boost. That way this ball goes a little bit up, and you also have the option of grabbing that boost right there instead of having to drive back to it now. But if the thing that IE Cancer had done was scarier than this, you would have been in a much worse position. This is yours. It's interesting that you don't choose to hit that ball immediately instead of what you've been doing the rest of the game. Ooh, that was a very greedy hit by you. Note how you could have gotten scored on. I don't like the way you handled this. I think if you want to handle this situation, you go back to that corner boost that you can see on your screen right now, and then you return to the goal sideways. Not only that, but the reason why you do that is because when you hit the corner and the ball hits once you hit the corner boost and the ball bounces out, you immediately get to see if there's a shot taken, or if there's someone to take a shot there. So what happens then is you can respond and go, okay, there's a shot that could be coming, I need to go back to goal and I need to save this. That's the biggest reason why. And that's going to end up in a goal against you. So the reason why that goal happened is because you didn't respond to it properly. You got scored on because instead of what you should have done, which is go back to put yourself in a position where you have information, you rushed out of goal when you didn't know if there was someone to take a shot. You got punished for it, and then as a result you ended up not being able to save the goal in time. That's a good hit by your teammate. I think you should have turned for that, and now you're double committing with your teammate, so that's going to be a goal probably. Oh, they were not able to finish the goal. Oof. Very close, good save. Again, not a hit you necessarily had to clear. Even if you clear that, you don't want to pre-jump it. Note again how your positioning is just a little bit too far forward. So here, you want to be coming at this. You want to hit this ball on the what is now the bottom left of side of the ball. That's where you want to hit it. You do, but you hit it kind of in the middle. So what happens is it doesn't go up, it goes straight, kind of with an arc still, but it goes mostly straight, and that ends up with you hitting the ball. Ooh, good pass. That ends up with you hitting the ball kind of towards IE Cancer, which gets an easy clear that way. And here you just kind of do not expect him to catch this and be able to take a shot immediately. So what could you have done here? There's a couple things. This is a really good pass, a good call on that. Once this happens, right, you can see God Croc is moving towards the ball, which means he's attacking and you're covering goal. So he misses, or he doesn't miss, but he puts the ball out. What should you do here? Well, first of all, Brewer is infinitely closer to this than you are. There is almost no doubt in my mind that he will get this to you, get to this before you. What should you do? You choose to rush forward and get close to him. While I do think that's a good tactic, I also think you should be aware that he can shoot this. Especially like you said, he has a Season 8 Grand Champion tag, right? You should at least respect, or you should, unless he proves differently, you should expect him to be good enough to where he can put every single shot on target from an angle that is not really awkward. So you should expect him to be able to put this on target. How do you do that? Well, okay, he's got control of the ball right here. Sorry, let's go back to the moment where he catches it. So he's got control right there. There's two things you do. Either you charge in now and you challenge, or you go back and you wait for his play. You choose to do neither. You choose to fake challenge, and he shoots because he calls your bluff. And now you've got scored on. So instead, what you should have done is you should have stick to either one, right? Like I said in Snappa's replay analysis, 9 out of 10, or sorry, not 9 out of 10 times, 100% of the times, it's better to either, sorry, not 100%, but like very often, it is correct to do either challenge or go back. Don't try and do something in between. A fake challenge can work, but it only works when you're not covering goal, right? You cannot fake challenge when you're the one covering goal, because if you fake and they call your bluff, you get scored on, right? So in this situation, had you done either gone back to goal or you challenged, I think challenging is the correct decision here, just to clarify. But had you done either one of those, you would have been in a better spot than if you hesitate or you back off at the last moment. And that's something you've done throughout this game, right? You have been going towards the ball and then backed off when you didn't need to. But had you done either of those things, you would have been in a much better position than you are now. That's a good boost still, that's a good dunk. So a little bit too enthusiastic. And he's just gonna take that to a point where you can't deal with it, and then score a really nice goal. So again, note what happened here, and I've said it to Snappa, I'm going to say it to you, not here, sorry, right here. So this happens. Note how Eat Cancer isn't even like committed to this. right? But you're jumping up and shooting. And then you get this touch. Okay, so what has happened? Got Croc and I Eat Cancer are now competing for this ball. They get a 50-50, Eat Cancer wins. Why did that 50-50 happen? It happened because you were so eager to hit the ball that you didn't use all of the space you had, right? You have a lot of time there. Don't waste that time. Or don't waste all that time and space you have by shooting the ball, right? If you have time, if you have space, use it by keeping the ball close to you and setting up a play. Dribble it, bounce dribble it, take one touch and then hit it, or like pop it up and hit it towards the backboard. Let Godcroc score that. But by shooting, you take away all of the options you have, right? And which option you end up employing, that's your prerogative. But by shooting, you make it impossible for you to do any of those things, and you waste all of the space and time you have. Now Brewer is just going to put that past you, and he's going to use his superior car control and aerial control to score that goal. So now you're full one down, right? And again, it's because you do not look at all of the space you have, right? You have space, you've had space multiple times, and you're not using it. That's a really good dunk. You dunk on your opponents a lot in kickoffs. Use the boost that you have to get down more than just full boost. Because now your teammate's in a 1v2. And now you're in the situation that I described. Notice how you have to make a play every time. And they're just letting it happen. So one of them did something. Now you have to do something. Okay. And now you're in a good situation. But basically what happened there is exactly what they want to do. The only reason why I didn't is because this hit, Brewer got a little bit anxious or a little bit impatient, and he hit the ball a little bit too soon. He could have definitely gotten that hit had he touched it a little bit, or had he had a little bit more boost. Okay, so one person down. Now you're the one that has to hit the ball. If you miss this, or if you don't do anything like that, you get in a situation where you can get scored on. And that's exactly what they want. Remember what I said about like how to pressure. Ooh. So good hit there. But note how essentially what I said, right, about pressure. You want to create these opportunities where you can score, and you do that by constantly putting your opponents in a situation where where the goalkeeper has to hit the ball. If they don't, they get scored on, right? And you keep doing that until a crack in the armor shows, and that's when you pounce. That's what they did. They didn't score off it, but they did it, right? And that's the type of play that you should be employing to win this game, instead of hitting the ball away from you. Trying to make sure that the things that you do when you not the things that you do. You have to try and make sure that you're not just hitting the ball away from you for no reason. If you're hitting the ball away, it's because you can beat one of your opponents, but the other one has a bad clear that your teammate can get. Something like that. Right, but try and never, ever hit the ball without reason. Always try and have a plan when you're trying to hit the ball. And then when you do, you'll find that it's very often the case that you don't actually need to hit the ball. In my play, a lot of the time, I'll choose to dribble, or I'll choose to take a quick touch and then shoot. But basically, by keeping the ball close to you, you have full control over what happens. You can take a 50-50. You can dribble. You can bounce dribble. You can take a touch, then shoot. You can roll it up the wall. You can, the world is your oyster in that sense. And what I mean by that is having so many options means that not only do you have more tools at your disposal, it also means that your opponents have to respect the things that you can do with the ball more, because a shot is easily saved. Everyone knows how to take and save shots at this rank, right? What they don't know is how to deal with someone keeping the ball close when they have half the field to themselves. What they don't know is how to defend their backboards from rebounds. What they don't know is how to effectively play out a 1v2 situation. Put them in those situations and I guarantee you they will crack, right? I also highly advise you to go back to Snappa's replay analysis, because I think there's a lot of things that I mentioned there that you could learn from. But overall for you, I'd just say, like, stop hitting the ball away from you and don't try and go in between. If you should hit the ball, hit the ball. If you should not hit the ball, do not hit the ball. Don't try and kind of do the in-between, like wait and see if you have to hit the ball. Go for it or do not. Do not try and do something in between, because what that will do, hesitation will lose you more games than any other thing. I think for Snappa particularly, it's more so his boost management, and his ball cam, but you know, still, hesitation loses games. Do not hesitate when you have to go for the ball. Just go. If you miss or if you lose the challenge, that's fine, right? But making the wrong decision is worse than making the right decision and executing it poorly. Execution is something you can practice, right? Mechanics is something you can practice. Decision making, you can only work on by making the same dumb mistakes over and over and over and over again, and then learning from them and saying, okay, I'm going to stop doing that and I'm going to do it right this time. So keep that in mind. That said though, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about you. I'm just going to quickly record a clip for Van about range or about angle of approach. But this has been Subdivides. I hope this was useful to you. If you did find it useful, I would very much appreciate a rep in the Coach Rep channel, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later.